Well, map 1 didn't really go as planned, at least not for T1, losing out 13-8 on their own map pick. Vincent alongside Infernosis here back for map number 2. And, well, maybe you can let T1 know all about what went wrong there over on Juke GG. It's a brand new esports focused social media platform where you can post, comment, and reply to news, matches just like this one, or other users, your favorite streamers, all that good stuff. Shoot a follow over there to all the people you know, and of course get push notifications as well. With that, you can use the juked juked notification command in chat or a direct link to the Juke GG site and get some more information on that as well.
Speaking of our other sponsors, we've got GLG, actually, who's providing production for this. Talk about what goes better than Jets and Operators, Wardell and Chamber, YFP Events, and GLG Production. GLG is helping out here on the back end with the production, helping get all you beautiful people on the stream. That's me and Vincent, so to say. But GLG will be opening a gaming facility this year. And the people behind the scenes, sorry, very much production in my ear. Rochester, New York, on the 22nd floor of the Innovation Square. Check out the renderings and their current construction taking place at glggaminglounges.com. You won't be gaming in your mom's basement this year. You'll be gaming and taking cloud gaming to a whole new meaning. Sponsored as well, Team Syndicate. It's an esport organization that hosts open leagues and free-to-play tournaments for everyone in the North America scene. Whether you're the next Tins or have never touched a video game in your life, we aim to provide the most professional and best competitive experience. Hopefully, we'll see each and every single one of you in the next event, but make sure to use command !Syndicate in chat to join their Discord server.
Well, while you're doing that and getting involved, we are getting involved with Haven. This, of course, is TSM's pick, and now with a chance to close this in a quick 2-0 fashion as well. But we're getting into agent selection, and I certainly am looking forward to see what we have going on. I think that the big interesting conversation is going to see if we have the Jet coming back in for T1, or what 7, I guess, is going to be playing on that duelist role. That's what I'm looking for, and well, it looks like we've seen that.
Well, I'm telling you what we're also going to be seeing in the near future is actually a giveaway for the G Pro Superlight. Only US people, the 8A only, but they're giving away a G Pro Superlight to our community. To enter, follow at YFP Gaming Live on Twitter, retweet the post, and join their community Discord. You can find that link as well in that Twitter post. They'll be announcing the winner tomorrow after this YFP Wintrer Classic, and we'll go ahead and see who's going to be winning that in the near future. We'll also see who's going to be winning this map in the near future, as well as maybe even the series if TSM can continue to close out. Wardell on the Chamber, not a huge shot. Corey has pretty much auto-locked in that Jet as well. And we're seeing Curry finally a KO on the board. We've seen this previously as well. That's something TSM chose to employ by Rossi, and I think that that's also another smart decision to do that. It's information as well as having that suppress. I think that all in all, TSM have what it takes to facilitate a very strong map, but defense otherwise, T1, yeah, they have to make a huge recovery after the somewhat lackluster map 1 performance, especially in that first half.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I think that we probably are going to see something at least a little bit different from the T1 side, especially based on their composition with Curry playing the KO. I like the KO, but I haven't seen the KO all the time on the map Haven. We've seen it more often on Ascent, but I think it's actually really strong over on Haven. That early 0 point, it can go so many different places. I mean, just think, long A for example, or long C, or even in the mid round, throwing it in towards the middle, like that short A position. It's so effective. So I really am excited to see how that one goes. But we are underway. T1 going to be starting out on the defense. TSM on the attack side, and just about ready to go. The pistol round, you can see not a whole lot, but just the purchases of all the utility for this pistol.
Pistol round, the one that we saw first in that first half of the map of Icebox, dropped, I believe, in TSM's favor, and T1 managed to flip it on its head, actually taking the bonus quickly afterward. But yes, the second half wasn't exactly like that. I mean, we kind of saw a semi-replication of that, but I don't think it actually finished in the same exact way. But it got really close. The weapons were dropped by the winning team, and really caused a credit problem. TSM had to recover from that time in and time out for the next 3 or 4 rounds, and it became a slight contingency plan. So Vincent, in terms of how important these first 2 rounds are, do you think we'll still see TSM force like they did in that second half? Do you think they'll play this one a little smarter?
Well, It's hard to say. I'm not the biggest fan defensively of the Force Spy, but they have opportunity to win first. So before we get too far into that, 7 in the opening frag, and getting 7 involved early is going to be crucial here. We're T1 and TSM put down the spike, and Corey, meanwhile, going to go down. Curry as well, going around the corner. Going to be the fragment. It is dispatched with Aleko, one to take that frag. 7 fighting back, leaves Aleko all alone. 1v3, not much to work with.
Well, I mean, maybe Aleko can piece 1 or 2 things together, but the great distraction employed there will allow for 7 to pull away the sight line of the last remaining player, and T1 will actually get that defused out. 3 players still alive. Not that it means too much when it comes here to the pistol round, but a moral victory to say the least, as they can keep up that same tempo, keeping at least 3 alive when it comes to the second round. Kind of forced by, they get their bonus, then I think that they'll be in a much better standing. But typically when you see a Reyna being employed, like on Icebox, if you win the pistol round, you can force a rifle to go with and try to just play with no armor and get that first kill and overheal, but there's no Reyna here, and yet we're still seeing a rifle buy here by Curry, who's looking to play this one quite aggressively. The information is there as well as having flashes, so maybe Curry is trying to be like Steph Curry, toss it out, get themselves a nice kill, and lead them to an early lead.
I like having a rifle or 2 on this anti-eco round like T1 have done. It just kind of, it's a bit of an insurance policy. In case things start to go wrong, you have something to fall back on and steal in some shots. Actually, with the Marshal in hand, that's not always going to be the case, but it is for now, as we can see the rotation initially over towards C, but TSM have evacuated, moved out, and moved over in towards the A side of things. It's A long for 4 players. Corey, the only one not in that area, but gonna get tagged up by the Owl drone and found out. That's actually gonna keep plenty of focus on towards that B site while the push actually goes A.
Well, the bait and switch is there. There's still a player holding close corner, and Wardell is none the wiser, just sitting there and waiting, but will finally go through. Thwifo from up above in heaven, able to find the kill. Aleko being tagged out, now vulnerable by that Killjoy utility, and the turret will get a little bit of extra damage on the top. However, still a player advantage in favor of T1, and this is arguably the easier site to play for. That retake of Rossi's down below in hell and looking to send a player thereafter, but it's Steel from up above once again to find another. Great jump up with the Cloudburst combo onto the top of objective. 7's trying to go for the kill, but it's Steel to drop down 2 with the Ghost, making it a 3K as Thwifo collects with the Spectre to finish things off strong once again for T1. And not only did they go into that round, Vincent, and not lose a single player, but they did it in a great fashion. Steel coming up big.
Absolutely. And on top of that, it's a good situation where they really don't have to upgrade here. They can play the bonus, and this gives them a really interesting opportunity to save some cash in this round. And if they win it, then, well, we'll be looking at a really good start for T1. That said, TSM, they have the operator out here on the back of Wardell, and so our eyes all going to be peeled, looking to Wardell, trying to maybe find the opening frag and look for that. Looks maybe going to be over in middle. And yeah, looking in towards garage at the moment is Wardell, but push not in garage. It's going to be down mid here through B7 with a great position here in the corner. He's not usually going to get peeked early on and even find a frag off the back of a push here.
Vincent, if Dallas was here, aka Mick, so you don't know that, he would be like, why is TSM being so slow? Have a little bit more emphasis. Put some aggression on it. But I think this is the smart decision for TSM. Poke and prod to kind of feel out where the defense of T1 may lie. Obviously, they've gathered enough information to realize where Steel is at this point in time. He's just playing up towards short ramp. But beyond that, the quick rush onto the A site may prove to be a bit too hefty of a price to go forward. Corey tries to swing out. Pony still blinded, able to find the kill, but not able to find the second one onto Rossi. And Sub Rosa, each finding one of their own. The Phantoms coming up big as Rossi finds their second. Aleko not able to find any. Curry will find the kill instead. But it's still a 1-player advantage. Make it 2 by TSM with Wardell collecting with an operator onto Curry again. Rossi gets the spike down. It's just Thwifo left standing. Has the Spectre and a Sheriff looking to maybe get the one shot necessary to go for the kill. You're putting a little bit of spice on that wall, but so far, it's just a bit of a patience game. The alarm button going off, giving the information there could be a player behind, but Wardell is not phased whatsoever, getting the final kill and leading TSM to their first round win.
You know, it feels like there's 2 win conditions for TSM, generally speaking, as a squad. One of those is where Dell just kind of owns the game, pops off, and plays out of his mind, as well, he tends to do. But the other one is that the rest of the squad are showing up. And we saw that with Aleko and Corey going massive in map number 1 here. We're already seeing Rossi have a good start to this game, and where Dell off a double kill. First time he's got the op in hand, and he is good for the frags. That is a fantastic look for TSM, and I'm looking to see if that can continue here, as this time TSM playing against an operator on the T1 side of things as well. Ultimately, it's like maybe a B hit is forthcoming. A lot of this pressure for TSM being applied here at the B side.
But notice how far back they're leaving the spike. Still inside Cine window. I think they were just trying to apply pressure, figure out how much utility is placed inside of that entrance towards B, and then try to flush out away from that courtyard. There's still a player holding close. It's the KJ trying to hold down Garage. The YFO's doing their best, but the Nano Swarm does not manage to catch any target in the process. Sabrosa seemingly unscathed, but some assistance from Curry could actually put Sabrosa in a bad spot. Not seemingly spraying through the nebula just yet, but Vincent, with time kind of running out here for the side of TSM to facilitate an attack forward, they have to start to dedicate themselves. And from the looks of things, C may be their avenue, and that site is wholeheartedly open for the taking.
3 members coming, and a 4th just quickly to join TSM towards the C long position. KO play for the defense. Here comes the Hunter's Fury. It's the command as well, and that KO is taken out quickly and easily. Curry no longer in for the world as Corey tries to find some success. The spray, though, not good. It's still the win out, and now TSM in a pretty good spot with regard to post plant, but they're down by a player as well. T1 looking to retake, and they've got a Hunter's Fury of their own now. 7 with a dash in. It's Twyfo who is cleared out this angle, and now pushing forward. Twyfo looking for the frag, and he's got it. That's huge. Rossi trading out. Now the Hunter's Fury to go forward. It's Pony on towards 1. The defuse is coming. Pony has it. Spraying. Rossi can't hit the shot. The defuse. It's going all the way. TSM. Oh, what a rough round to go the T1 way. TSM had everything set up, but the man disadvantage on top of the fact that Rossi couldn't find the spray through the nebula was just too much to overcome.
It's one of those hard situations there, Vincent, when you're talking about trying to play for that post plan. Yeah, you can step back towards that C main side and play down C long, and you can set a player inside copy. But talk about the weak link when it comes down to it, it's sight lines. They still had their Astra on the board. Pony was still alive at the beginning once the plant goes down. That allows for the side of T1 to just place down nebulas, use smokes as cover, and then start to bring in and breed out 1, 2, maybe even 3 players to go and peek for that fight while you just leave them alone to go for the defuse, and that's exactly how it works out. You lose some rifles, you lose some weapons, but you win the round, and that's going to give you a bit more economy, a bit more credits in the pocket to work with than TSM will have after they take that devastating loss. And you can see TSM being a bit more aggressive because they're bringing out these SMGs. But Sabrosa is going to go through mid. That's a smart decision for a player with a rifle. Play for the angle that requires a longer range weapon. But the information has been gathered with that recon bolt being taken out.
TSM setting themselves up. At Owl Drone, gonna find out Sabrosa, in fact, might have even seen Wardell there, who's trying to play for the push through that nebula. Not gonna happen for now, though. And with that, rotations coming through. TSM heading in towards A. That's a defensive setup, relatively weak, though all of the utility for the KJ is set up right here, right now. Wifo struggle to utilize any sort of that utility. Corey is able to find him instantly, and he does. Curry does find the trade, but still a great start for TSM on the entry. Rossi now doubling down on the side. It's 4v3.
Great attempt. Spike will be attempted. Now officially completed, and Rossi will try to transition around the Radiant Crate in the center stage to Maybe you start to work towards hell, but with the operator still ringing out in the distance, it kind of creates a precarious spot for the rest of T1 to sit, and Steel will pay the price as Wardell manages to find the kill. Rossi will spray down 7 as they jiggle peek around the corner leading out from Ton, but it does not seem to make a huge difference. Pony will follow thereafter as Rossi cleans up for the 3K. TSM on the attack, collect for another round win, and kind of make up for the unfortunate loss that was that last round, and take a look at the eco for T1. Only person with really a lot of cash in the pocket's been Thwyfo, and unfortunately when you're playing a KJ, the util can be quite pricey, so in all honesty, it kind of evens out across the board, and T1's going to have to make a recovery round.
That they are. The other thing, there are big mistakes on the retake. It kind of felt like T1 just kind of walked in one by one, allowing for the duels to go TSM's way. I do understand that there was a lot of pressure being applied there. Wardell as well in the long position made it hard to kind of sync players up between dropping down from heaven and coming in through the CT area, but still, it was a big whiff there by T1, and now TSM, you've been a bit of a one-trick pony in that when they're headed to a site, they're headed there all the way, and everyone's involved, and it looks like we're going to be seeing that once again. All 5 players grouped up and pushing here at C.
We haven't really seen a strong split from them. I think we would probably need to see a bit more of a spread out approach, but the full head dive entry to the C site has paid off in terms of control, as you'll see the side of TSM gain spike plant, forcing the time constraint onto the T1 side's lap, and now it's up for T1 to try and recover from this. When you see the operator shot ring out, the Pony's not going to be there for much longer as Aleko catches them as they clip the corner and cannot make that great escape. There's really not much left to work with. T1 are stuck in a 4-on-5. Now the suppress goes forward, and that's a ton of information available for TSM. The 0 point very successful in that regard. They're not going to really have much utility to work with. Subrosa will continue to pound the hurt down on T1. Corey finds 2 in the process, this onto 7 in Thwyfo. You see the recon bolt coming from behind, but Corey is completely unfazed. Steel trying to make the great escape, survives just a moment longer, but it does not seem to last. Subrosa coming through the garage doors finds the kill. And we're talking about a completely revitalized TSM attack, especially after what seemed like a lackluster beginning of this map.
We certainly are, and beyond that, like I said, TSM, a bit one-dimensional maybe, but they've been fantastic at actually executing these takes. Now, that last round, it was a little bit simpler considering they weren't playing up against full rifles, but even if you go back to the round before on towards A, it was taking both of the players who were sitting there defending and making it very easy for them to just get one and done, with the advantage over to the TSM side. But as we start back up here, gun round for T1. They've got a lot to work with. Now, TSM does have the Blade Storm, but on the other side, Don't Command and Lockdown, as well as the Cosmic Divide, all ready to go. So lots to work with. What will they be utilizing, though?
One of the weak links of bringing a KJ on the map here for Haven is it takes a single shock dart to remove out majority of that util. Yeah, the turret's slightly away, but we can see it done right there. The alarm part goes off. Now it's just a recon bolt, and Thwyfo's in probably the worst position you could probably be in. Close player Corey holding down next to the platform. There is some assistance having Curry nearby for Thwyfo's needs, but beyond that, Aleko somehow walks out in front of both Thwyfo and Curry, but they'll still collect the kills where necessary, and Steel will be the most recent one to have fallen, this one by Rossi's hands. Sabrosa through mid will take control over Courtyard, swing out through Link, and find Pony as they're just completely caught unawares. And I think for this position, Seven's just going to save this operator and start thinking twice about maybe what they can do in the next round, start to maybe take this as attack pause. But take a look in the map up there in the top left corner. TSM, more specifically Sabrosa and Corey, are hunting for this one.
And with that, I really love what I saw from the TSM push there. So you were talking about kind of what happened on those 2 players sitting backside. Is Seven is going to find one, but traded immediately out. So honestly, TSM okay with that. But you were talking about on the site, you know, both players falling basically instantly for T1. The reason that happens that way is because it was with Corey and Aleko that came swinging through the nebula, looking opposite directions at the exact same time. So they swung together, both got the frag, and it was just perfect timing because everyone on T1, that is, looking the wrong direction, waiting for the group up to go for the retake. So just perfect timing from TSM and perfect teamwork as well, as we see a T1 timeout activated.
I think this is another smart decision. We talked about it because there was one very early on the map of Icebox, just kind of determine whether it was smarter to use it early or later. And I think we both kind of concurred that it was smarter to bring it out sooner rather than later to kind of converse about what's gone wrong, how to make the recovery. And for T1, I think the recovery period needs to be a bit, I wouldn't say swifter, because right now I think they need to give up the majority of the site, and if they don't give up the site, if they don't want to play that one, I think they need to be playing at a little bit of a cheekier angle. Talk about how Thwyfo is completely trapped alone on that C site. It just didn't breed a solid defensive play. There was no real stronghold. There wasn't really a strong stationary hold for the defense, and I think TSM took advantage of that. So once we see T1 kind of survive through this thrifty round, whether they get anything off of it or just kind of take the loss on the chin, I think they'll have to start to adapt and adopt a new approach to the defense as this round and this half progresses onward.
Yeah, to add on to that as well, you're right. They either need to play it passively, go for the retakes from the beginning, or alternatively set up for re-aggression as the push is happening. You know, set up some utility to go for that. But that's not been something we've seen thus far. You're right, though. This is a bit of an eco round. A whole lot on the cards for T1 in the coming rounds. This one, just not so much, but that's a very nice 0 point. Quarry suppressed at giving the game away. TSM going to instantly rotate off the back of it. In fact, as the Nebula goes for fragment out to deny space and pushes in Quarry on the site. And once again, here we go. This is okay. Massive looks for Thwyfo 7 as well. Finding a frag. And Sabrosa trying to find something more. He can do it. Oni with a fantastic shot. He's going to get taken out with a shock dart, but it's still 2v3. T1 with the advantage. And push to doubling down. Two players there. The turn, though, not ready for it. Seal has this, and now it's 1v1. Wardell looking for it, and he's got the frag there with the operator. Oh, clutch, yes, but that got expensive.
I'm very curious about why Pony decided to peek up on top of Plat. You're in a position that already gathered you one kill, and you're close enough to actually pick up the weapon. You don't need to re-swing out. You can play to survive just a little bit longer. At that point, the majority of the rest of the players for TSM were stepping out from the garage side, and maybe one, the one you cleared, was coming out through C-Long. You had other teammates there to assist you and hold that angle. I felt like it was a bit of a greedy push. It worked out, but Pony falls quickly afterwards, and they're not really able to clutch up. So maybe this is just a case of hindsight being 20/20, but the aggression from T1 may be their undoing. But take a look up on the top of our screen right now, Vincent. 4 ultimates for TSM, only 3 for T1, but both sides having a cosmic divide. That could be a very interesting interaction. And I'll tell you, that one's even more interesting. Operator, and Wardell will lose the fight.
That's something we haven't seen. Wardell basically hasn't lost an op duel since he got in his hands in round 3 of this map. Infernosis, that's a huge turnaround, and that is T1 changing things up. Cosmic Divide now committed, and that's going to be Thwyfo having to just wait this out. Play for the retake. Hunter's Fury, though, didn't deny the plant for just a moment. That's Steel who's putting that on, and actually does deny the initial plant. Gets the tag, in fact, on Rossi. Bladestorm committed late on. That's Corey going over the top, and Corey with a huge frag. We talked about Corey getting involved, and every time he does, it's a game changer. Hunter's Fury to deny the lockdown does just that, and Aleko does get an additional tag as well. Corey's on that Bladestorm once again finding work. Corey doing it with the rifle as well. Just one left alive, and that's Steel, who's quickly taken out by the Lurk of Sabrosa.
Wow, what an absolutely dominant hold over that objective. We see a Cosmic Divide being employed, and now neither team has those available. That's a great way to lock down sidelines, and yet we still see TSM recover from that position. And I think that's off the back of actually having a very mobile front. Corey being able to play over in Hell, catching Thwyfo off guard. Then you have the player lagging behind. I think it was the player of Sabrosa who found that kill into Steel. They were all over the map, and that's what really caught T1 off guard. They're able to have this aggressive assault with only 3 to 4 players, and then their roaming player, that default section where they're trying to either split themselves or have that kind of information be brought towards them. It's wildly successful, but at the same time, you've been wanting it. Here's that lineup. We're seeing a really solid one with the knife toss from T1, which just gathered so much information from that big window. And Vincent, that could be a huge, huge break for them, as it does look like B will be the objective of choice.
That it will be. TSM's attack has been unstoppable thus far, though, and Curry looking for it. Swipo, who's got the help, and a nice little bait switch set up right there. But unfortunately, overall, it doesn't find too much on the success. Rossi using the fragment. See a fragment kill every day. Does T1 have to try to find some more damage? And damage really is the name of the game, isn't it, Infernosis?
It really is. You just kind of have to bring... I think that's the name of the game, right? Just put your enemy's HP down to 0 and keep yours above that. I mean, isn't that what the old...
Nice.
Isn't that what the old games used to give in their, like, tip screens and loading? But
I think I saw that in Counter-Strike yesterday.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Kill them before they kill you?
Myself. Yeah, never employed it myself. I'm pretty bad at it. But a nice swing comes out with the flashpoint to success. Rossi's the player to find a kill onto Pony, and Aleko will find the one onto Steel. And once again, the last player to fall is Steel. I think what it's coming down to is Steel is trying to lead the squad from behind a little bit too much. We talked about this during the break as we were trying to kind of take an understanding about what was happening, and we were kind of noticing that Steel was, what's the way you put it, Vincent?
Well, you know, it just kind of felt like there was a lot of slow plays, and it was not proactive. It was reactive. And whilst that can be very effective in a lot of situations, there's some situations that just call for proactivity.
I think for right now, especially in terms of T1's defense, I think they need to be a bit more reactive than proactive, but I don't see any of it in terms of recovery in these rounds. There's a lot of positions, like the A side. You usually give that up when you're talking about playing for the retake, and yet I don't see proper, I don't want to say proper, I don't see utility placement that's kind of leading to a high level of success. But you can see them all being point out. You can also see them being immediately brought down by 7, but they're not out for the fight just yet. Corey swings in and finds 2. Sabrozo may fall by Steel, but Steel is short-lived also, not being the last to die, being the third to last, so to say. 7 will recover just a little bit with the operator. It's still a 2-on-3, player disadvantage for T1, and they're going to have to make a big recovery because this half does not look solid for them.
This is the best that TSM have to offer. When they have the likes of Corey able to do what he just did, deny 7, a fantastic player in his own right, any sort of refrag, he's just getting one, then dying right after, and Corey getting the double kill entry. That's exactly what TSM want to do, and that's how they're able to pull off wins, potentially like these. I mean, we're seeing already an 8th round coming forward, mirroring the scoreline of the half. 8-4 was that on Icebox for TSM, and again, we've seen some strong stuff, and kind of going back to what T1 need to do. They're just not consistent. They've tried a whole bunch of things, but they just haven't been able to make any of them work. Right? Play for the retake. Well, they got pushed out, but this was ridiculous. I mean, just basically not only out aiming but out reacting the operator, despite the operator already be aiming down sight, seeing what was going forward.
I think Corey's just been improving as this game has gone on. Don't you agree? I mean, like,
as the tournament's gone on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you're talking about Corey early in this map was, the same thing with map 1. Didn't really have anything but 2 or 3 rounds in, constantly figuring out and poking, finding what's going to work, and adapting everything that was successful into the next round. And we've seen that time in and time out, and hopefully for the side of T1, that doesn't continue into the second half. But for TSM, I mean, it's obviously a solid place to be in. But TSM will get the plant down. Aleko in a bit of a poor spot as the second shock dart will be sent. This one, however, does not actually connect. We're still at a 5-on-5. Operator shot from Wardell, dodging the shots, but just barely not managing to get the second one off, and Pony will find the kill with the Guardian, and it's down to a 4-on-4. T1 not with the best eco, but they've got plenty of utility to go for this post plant.
Oh, but look, that's a great setup from Corey and Rossi. Oh, the Curry winning huge duels. Are you kidding? T1 pulled back, and that is all off the back of that play there from Curry. The KO stepping up big time in the last round of the half and flushing up as well. Speaking of KOs, this has been a fantastic showing of KO in general. Rossi obviously playing a great game just on a pure fragging level. But we've seen so many early 0 points, especially from the attacker side. By the way, big props to Will, our observer, for catching those, because it shut down any sort of A long aggression pretty much every single round there, and that's what Rossi has been doing consistently. You can see 6 assists already on top of the 14 frags that he has picked up, and this 8-4 scoreline, it could not be better for TSM as they swap to the defense.
One thing I want to keep an eye out for as well, since we were highlighting Rossi, is now that they're on the defense, we saw what Curry was able to do with their own lineup. That was to gather the information and towards courtyard, towards big window. But ultimately, I think it's more just a matter of getting through these few rounds. T1 need these round wins, and I unfortunately had a chance. YFO just barely missing the opportunity with the frenzy. Corey will manage to make their great escape by tailwinding back out of that big window, and it looks like the rest of T1 will start to hop back a little bit further, maybe heading to Hay. Maybe a possibility through courtyard or through the actual garage. And look at this position. Curry in a fight with Sub Rosa, neither coming out on top, but still plenty of information is gathered for both sides.
Wardell already tagged just a little bit. Still has 3 these bullets in the headhunter though, ready to go. TSM on the defense here. First round, and oh man, catching a good timing. Here's a let go. Can't quite connect the shots though. It's Steele, the one to find it. Oh, and get suppressed as the entry comes back forward to the defense. It's already rotated. Right click and Rossi, are you kidding me? Pushing forward. Ultimately, though, trying to trade up to the Ghost. Gets punished for the trouble. Now, Wardell on the site. Another missed shot. Leaves TSM in a 1v3 at Sabrosa.
Only 25 seconds left, Vincent. This is T1 in a good position. They'll take advantage of it. Curry with the kill, watching the flank of that A-long, and clears off the remaining TSM player. That is a pistol round that was desperately needed. They needed the help towards the round differential, nothing else in that regard. And T1 now only 3 rounds behind, and this should be a situation where you would typically consider them to be guaranteed in the bonus, but time in and time out, Vincent, that's not been the case, and I can guarantee that that's going to be a constant throughout this match if we do happen to see the third map. But as of the current moment, TSM have put their name on the board, and switching over to the defense, this one is one where you can quite quickly, 10 to maybe 15 seconds, switch from one half to the other. It's quite easy in terms of time to be able to play for the retake.
Yeah, critical as you set up for T1 to win this round, but, you know, they were able to pick up the pistol. They're right back in it. Back alive, no question about that. As TSM going to collect on the Ultra of their long seat. Gathered back up, but it's going to be an easy push here for Steele and co. Spike down here on B. The other thing to note, of course, is this not only being an anti-eco round, but just the way in which these guys, T1, they're playing so passively. They're looking for all the flanks, looking for all the angles, and they found them all. There's one for Curry, Waifu involved, and Pony has a couple just to add insult to injury. Rossi, who has been the hero, not this time though, down to Pawnee, who's got a triple kill, flawless victory in T1. They, I think they fairly have met your requirement there. What do you say?
Yeah, absolutely. That is what we were looking for at this point in time. Now, keep in mind, they do need to recover still, as they're usually stuck with SMGs still, but take a look over here at what they're actually bringing to the table here. Bulldog for Thwifo. Pony, yeah, still has the Spectre, but when you're playing the Astra, you're kind of playing for that up close, staying alive to the last few moments and being successful throughout the round. You're not really trying to get in the face. Curry and Seven each have a Vandal, and Steele's bringing the Guardian. There's plenty of frag potential with these mainstay rifles in hand for T1. This could still be a round where they are fully committal and then actually apply pressure onto TSM, but from what we're seeing right now, they left Spike over towards the attacker spawn, and they're just trying to poke over towards the A-long. Corey's in a bit of a bad spot, and Curry could have found the option, but from the looks of things, I think they're kind of being stuck between the cushion that TSM's defense have provided.
Well, look at this setup here. Corey and Aleko. We're going to double swing, and Corey has the frag. This is even worse because now Curry is fighting, and Wardell is on the push. A great setup for TSM is making this look easy in the first gun round of the half.
Vincent, I want to talk about Wardell a little bit. When you're talking about how aggressive he can play, he's not always playing within his util, and obviously the rendezvous's not that successful if you can't get away from that position, but when it pays off, it pays dividends, and Wardell does great. But Pony has put their name on the board. 2 kills in courtyard. Devastating now as T1 are trying to crawl their way back through this one. Aleko, very low HP. Wardell still continuing the dominant force that we know that he's been continuing so far in this one. 2v2. Thwifo looking to step in through mid. The spike that they've left has now unfortunately bit them in the rear. Wardell takes the first fight. He just continues to spray down what starts as a 3K made to the 4, and TSM find another round win, their first of this half.
Yeah, and Pony did such a phenomenal job of fighting back in that round. Got a huge double kill. And not only that, by the way, with the Spectre against Rifles. Unfortunately for the rest of T1, though, they left the spike in an exposed position. Or, I mean, exposed, maybe the wrong word, considering it was basically their spawn. But Wardell pushed up into that position, found the spike, and, of course, playing smart, they hold on to that position as well. So, TSM back in winning ways, but that might be a flash in the pan, considering there's plenty of weaponry for T1 in this one, but massive damage being done to the KO. It's Rossi who's going to get the eventual kill up the back of the fragment. Now the flash drive over the top and going through. 7 down and out. A shutdown of massive proportions. Rossi continuing to frag out of control, and now it's Corey over the top. What a play. TSM are playing like they are unable to be stopped.
How do you allow, first and foremost, Rossi to still stay behind the double Radiant up close and pop off like that, and then continue the same thing? Wardell finishing the round off strong, a flawless victory for them, and TSM are now up 4 rounds. What started as a fabulous recovery by T1 has now started to fall apart a little bit. It's only been 2 rounds, and there's still plenty to talk about, but when you take a look at the eco of T1, we've seen some really nice situations for T1 to recover on these thrifty routes without being able to really force or buy out, and that's been off of Threefo with that stinger, and we're seeing that once again being brought to the table. But TSM have been steadfast. They have not really given any glimpses on this defense when they're able to actually play with rifles in hand. And this is the exact type of TSM that I was talking about before this game started. They are solid on the map of Haven, and T1 are paying the price because of it.
Yeah, I think if you want to simplify things here, TSM are the best that they could be when Wardell doesn't have to be the big star player, the superstar player, right? Wardell, you know, I don't want to say the days of him just owning maps all alone are over, but they're certainly fewer and far between at times. And so it's really, really important when the rest of TSM can come up big. We saw Aleko do that over on Icebox. We're seeing Rossi do the same here. And we talked about Corey. I mean, Corey, by the way, finished over on Icebox with the most frags in the server. He had 21, and he's getting pretty close to that here.
You can see, using the Astro utility to their advantage, they'll go ahead and nebula off the center of that site, as well as popping the Cosmic Divide. An interesting decision by T1. That will guarantee them the site. And while they don't really have the weapons in hand, they will at least guarantee that spike placement and try to play up close and personal with the Sheriff. Flashpoint does go out. Shot connects here from Turi, but Rossi and Aleko will each find Curry and 7 that tried to swing out towards that defender spot. Look at the rotation that was employed, baiting out the entirety of TSM as Steel just goes over and plants it on the A site. They guaranteed it in another direction. It's just a game of buying time, but Steel gets a massive shock dart off. Able to tag off and remove some of the armor for the opposing side. Wardell and Rossi being the players that ate that. Second one being sent. Recon bolt over the top. There's not much more to do. The Sheriff only in hand, now hiding inside the Nebula. Stewie 2K moment, but will it pay off? No. Missing all of the targets. Target acquisition not in favor there for T1 as TSM will clean up for another round win.
It's the wrong game, Infernosis. Come on. No.
I mean, come on. Come on, we can still reference. He played that game. I think he played with him, actually, if I'm going to be honest with you. If I'm correct, I may be wrong about that. Feel free to correct me.
Well, I mean, yes, you're absolutely right about that part. But either way, T1, well, it's starting to become a bit of a problem here. They've pretty much not thrown away, but it's not been good enough for them to kind of continue on the winning streak. They picked up the pistol round, and then it all sort of fell away from there. Wasn't enough for them to start winning some of these gun rounds. And whilst they had some space to work with, you know, it being an 8-4 half, now that space is evaporated. And Infernosis, they, being T1, really have to find something that works on this round in particular, because next round, that's match point.
Yeah, this is make it or break it. This is a timeout that makes the most sense possible, and we saw a lot of timeouts in map 1, right? I think, 3, 4.
Yes.
I mean, it felt like 10, the timing that it took sometimes, but it was very important for those players and for these teams to kind of sit back a little bit. You can keep up the pacing, you can keep up the tempo in the actual rounds, but you also do need to kind of take that step back and slow down mentally to try and keep that game at that same speed in your head. Players talk about it all the time, especially when it comes to like IRL sports, kind of weak games, if you know what I mean. Esports are better, but they see the game at a slower level. The game slows down for them visually as they can cognitively function at a higher level. And I think that's one thing that we're seeing for these two sides. And I think we're seeing that especially from 3-4 right now, with on top of proper utility usage, has just been gunning on the next level, cutting down Wardell first, and 7 will be the second with the operator to Corey.
7 finding opening frags is a very important part of a winning strategy for T1. And this is, like I said, must win at this point. With a 2-man advantage, T1, all they got to do is group up, find a space, hit the site. It's really that simple. And whilst I make it sound very easy, it's far more difficult than that. Fragment, the re-aggression for Rossi, who's feeling himself. Curry shuts it down. It's again a good trade. Keeping the 2-man advantage alive. Now Sabrosa pushing forward. And he's found one. Looking for another one. And goes for the spray, but a little bit of a missed jump, I think. Leaves 7 with the shot across the bow. 1v3. This is going to be a big one if TSM could clutch it. But looking at the map, I think we're seeing a save, or maybe not.
I don't know. Aleko could play this one, trying to go for... I mean, you've known that T1 have been struggling economically for the last few rounds. They have been, quite frankly, piss poor. And I think that we need to see more continuation of that from TSM to remove these weapons if they want to keep them in that same stance. But Steel does a good job. Sends the recon bolt over, forces Aleko to feel pressure to actually swing out and go for the kill, and it just fails. Aleko not able to get it, and Steel swings for the kill. Solid decision-making there, and T1 will recover after a 3-round streak loss. And take a look at that first half as well. Look at the spree of rounds that TSM collected in the late stages of the first half. They cannot allow that again, T1. You cannot let that occur. You need to be able to string your own all in a row and have any chance to even bring this to a map 3.
Yeah, alluding to that first half, it was 3-4 at one point, and then the half ended 8-4. That's what happened. And well, here we go again. Corey looking for the frag in this long position, so critical. It's Aleko as well. The teamwork working wonderfully for TSM. And while where T1 found opening frags last time, it's immediately TSM finding the same situation in the round after. And in fact, Steel finding out that there's a wild Sabrosa trying to push forward. Nicely done. That is one way to try to bring things back into a more even scenario. And it is still, though, 2 players now alive as Wardell has just pushed all the way into spawn.
Look at all the defensive utility that's been placed as well for TSM when it comes to that opening of C-Long. They'll have to place down an ambulance. That's some assistance from your player not on site, and they'll even employ a lockdown to guarantee that that spike can be placed. YFO trying to basically solo hold the C-side, has some assistance when it comes to Garage, but no one's actually coming that direction. It's 3 players up north on your map in terms of defensive spawn, trying to work out towards that elbow section. And Pony's going to have to work quite slowly, trying to figure out what works best. YFO gets a kill, but this one's on the Rossi. It's only the ultimate still in hand, so still opportunity available. YFO needs to be quite conscious, but cannot stay alive by Wardell. Pony swings out now from Ton, working from the Garage section, sprays the head off Corey, getting sprayed from multiple directions. YFO's kill under Rossi will be guaranteed, but Wardell, masterclass inning of himself, a 3K to his name, guaranteeing TSM at match point, series point here. Could send us straight out if another round win occurs.
Yeah, and what I mean was shaping up to be potentially the game of the day here, considering these 2 Titans, is turning into a TSM show at the moment. Like you said, they've been heating up all the way through, right? They started out slow with that loss to ZMM, and then kind of dominated as they move forward. The round of 16 as well, very much in their favor, a little bit on the closer side. Now, T1, well, more like no problem for TSM as the double op comes out. Corey and Wardell have that in their hands, and We'll see if that's going to be enough to overcome what is the Blade Storm now for 7. The rest of T1 are looking to try and keep their tournament hopes alive.
I don't like this decision-making here. I guess T1 realized that the information for themselves has been gathered by TSM with the 0 point, but they still send the Owl Drone. Curry does collect for 1, but Curry and Steel both lose their life, and it's forced for 7 to go for a refrag, and the Shock Darts are being sent out. It's a 3-on-3. TSM make it or break it for them here in this round. I guess the same could be said for T1. TSM just may want to send us out of this one. Aleko will opt for the Owl Drone, clearing out the rest of site, guaranteeing that the side of T1 have funneled themselves out through Courtyard, are now holding at a bit of a distance. Hopefully their weapons can survive. They'll hop onto the spike. Blade sent by Corey. No one really at the end of it. Just trying to zone out just Thwyfo. But Aleko swings out aggressively. Cuts down 1, but Thwyfo cuts down 2. Now in a one-on-one with Wardale's kill with a headhunter on the Thwyfo, but Pony steps up big, finding themselves a clutch round win. Scoreline a little bit slimmer, but T1 still quite far behind.
Yeah, relatively far, but 4 rounds, that's certainly doable. And the double op investment last round, remember? Wardell and Corey both had one. That has certainly made the economy of TSM a little bit brittle. It's not perfect, and in fact, Tour de Force has already been popped out here for Wardell. And they got a hero rifle in the back of Corey, who had a little bit of extra cash. That's going to join the 4 bits of armor and some upgraded pistols too. It's not like it's nothing. 7, nearly able to find that shot. That would have been a great start, but not to be. 1 really would have liked to use some of those ultimates in the last round, and now they are able to continue forward. Rossi also down and out. That's a bit of a shotgun up shot from 7.
You just barrel stuff into the competition. You'll find your target eventually if the only thing left on your screen. Aleko from the defensive spawn doesn't really have much, only the Sheriff to work with, and T1 are readily aware of the circumstances for what TSM are bringing to the table. There's only 2 left standing. You'll see a bit of a lineup employed by Aleko, hoping to gather maybe information or maybe a Shock Dart to send into default to go for something. It'll be a Recon Bolt right over the top, trying to gather some intel. It doesn't find... Oh, no, it finds 2, a massive amount, but Steel, the one player it didn't catch, swings out much like we saw, 3 or 4 rounds ago on that C site and picks up not just 1 this time, but 2.
And this time it's TSM to take the timeout. That's precisely what we were looking for. TSM, they took the eco, and now they are going to discuss how to figure this one out. So this half has been an interesting tale, right? Initially, T1 picking up the pistol and winning the first and second round. Then TSM fighting back, and over the course of a couple of back and forth rounds, they had so much success off the back of the operator, Wardell, basically pushing in the spawn. And, I mean, to be fair, Rossi has just been unstoppable this game. Corey been electrifying here in the second half as well, in particular. A couple of double kills to talk about. But then T1, the adjustment that they made is they just slowed it down. They waited. They waited for TSM to get aggressive. And that's, of course, the obvious answer. So now TSM are the ones who have to kind of think back and, okay, how are we going to make the adjustment? It's a bit of a chess game, a back and forth.
It's such a polar opposite from what we saw yesterday with TSM, where they weren't aggressive whatsoever, and they were way too slow both on the attack and the defense. So seeing T1 have to rely to win attacking rounds off of the aggression of TSM could spell disaster if TSM just start to play like they did yesterday. However, when they played yesterday against ZMM, we know how necessarily that one went here, Vincent, and the scoreline definitely reflected that outcome, but we also saw
how many
TSM
times can we just,
how many times can we point it out? To be fair, you can't sleep on ZMM, dude. They're good. Torfy was an absolute menace in that map. I don't think there's any if, ors, or buts about it, but man, TSM make it or break it, and they started off strong here, now making it a 4v5.
Yeah, that operator working wonders. Speaking of which, that's a nice way to try and counteract the Wardell effect. Just put him at half HP. It's fine. No problem there. But still, an advantage for TSM. And it seems like the answer, based on what I'm seeing right this second for TSM, is measured aggression, right? They've been passive, they've been straight out W keying, now trying to play it a little bit more measured. But Corey, well, maybe not so much that measured side for Corey. He's just gone through for the spray there through the nebula. He's been in this position often, and it's a tough one to dispatch. Here comes the lockdown. It's been a difficult ultimate to use this game thus far, and oh, how
30
perfect.
seconds left.
This is Corey just still given the spacing to survive. The same thing can be said over for Aleko, who's actually underneath in hell and looking to send a player thereafter. Corey's the player to do it, though. Curry on the refrag. Curry will pop their null command as well to silence any and suppress competition, but it doesn't need utility if you just don't know where Aleko is, and they'll finish the job on a Curry now playing still. The information, but that's really about all you'll see. A flash being sent out from Tun's side. It's an effective 2-on-4, now made 2-on-3 with Thryfo onto Aleko. Another kill dropping Thryfo to Wardell, and Thryfo has been paramount to their success on this map, and that's only continuing from this point onwards. Picked up now. They've got 2, but Rossi off the board by Thryfo for their 3rd. Thryfo hunting for the 4th. Sub Rosa not able to survive. 4K to T1 Thryfo, and they're still alive, surviving, having to use quite a few ultimates to get the job done, but a victory is a victory.
I mean, yeah, but Thryfo's got enough, kills there to be 3 orbs away from another ultimate. They just used the lockdown in that round. The null command is well used, but not very much abused, as Curry was taken out pretty much instantaneously by the under Palace player, under Heaven player, excuse me. And well, honestly, things working pretty well for T1. Again, they use their ultimates to great effect, but now they're pretty much out of them. We've seen some mixed results from Steel's Hunter's Fury, and I don't know that I would rely solely on that to be the opening for a round as important as this, but there's just 2 rounds to deficit as TSM, they are stacking themselves here at A. Look at that, 4 players pushing down short. It's going to be a meeting of the minds here in this position. Curry definitely found out, but 7 on the frag. Steel going to get fragged as well. Courtesy of that headshot for Corey.
Still getting 1 before the fell. It's a solid trade, evening things out. If they hadn't already found a kill. T1 up 1, now make it 2 with 7 opping down the player of Corey. The jet on jet favoring the T1 side. 7 now can step forward. He'll send out the blade, and 0 Point will be able to suppress anyone that's in their line of sight. Aleko up above in heaven has the opportunity to toss some, I guess, explosive ordnance into the site, and they'll see just that. Shock dart in, and Curry will be denied of any chance to go for the plant. Recon bolt destroyed. It tags first, which gives Aleko the information. Wardell's lagging behind. The same problem that we have commented time in and time out, especially when you're talking about making stride previously just yesterday against Gen G. Wardell was a little slow on the tempo, but this time around, it's not a huge deal. Fairly close in the map of Haven. The retreat over to the A site can only take a couple seconds off the top at 7, goes for their 3rd. Kill completed, but Wardell frags back with a headhunter. Operator on the ground, but has 2 players on and near the site to contend with. 1 short A ramp. The other one's now going over towards long. They have brought a lot of space and created it. Wardell's going to go for Thryfo. Thryfo running and gunning finds the kill, and T1 are dying to keep this one close. Now only 1 round away from leading us to OT.
See what you did there. They are dying to keep this one close. I gotcha. No problem. 12-11, though. I mean, talk about down to the wire. Here we are, map 2. This TSM's pick, remember? And it has been, it's been the TSM show right up until they got to match point. And beyond that now, we've seen 4 rounds in a row go T1's way. They need a 5th, though, to send us to overtime. We got a Blade Storm out and ready. That's T1's Hunter's Fury for both sides. No command for TSM. And here comes that Hunter's Fury. Like I said, an hit or miss for Steel. See if this one's a hit. Oh, not so much.
That's an important ultimate as well, especially when it comes to zoning. But I think Steel was just feeling you use it or you lose it. And
fair.
It's better than what the problem was on map 1, where he was waiting for the perfect opportunity. Didn't even get to use it at that halftime. Maybe just trying to avoid the same complications that they had on map 1. But ultimately, there's only 1 ultimate up for T1, and it is the Blade Storm still in the hands. There's no command, as well as having the possibility for their own Hunter's Fury for TSM, but Wardell with the operator removes out the KO of T1. Just trying to play this one slow, Vincent, and it just feels like it's a little too slow. T1 need to commit.
Well, again, this is their bread and butter. They are this team that likes to play it slower. It's going to be Corey, though, on the site, going for the updraft and going for the blaze, but it's not enough. A great adjustment by 7. But this is Aleko. And you talk about Hunter Zuri versus Hunter Zuri. Who's been better? Aleko, no doubt, is TSM now in a position where they are just a 1 kill away from headed into the semifinals here. The YFP Wintrer Classic, but no, Pawnee looking to try for it. He's got 1, but there's no time left on this clock. Gotta go for kills, and he's not got him. Sabrosa puts him to bed.